I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the Marching Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Welcome into, it's not, it's kicking it, but are we shooting it? Passing it?
Hooping.
Tipping it. How about that?
Hooping it.
Tipping it? Hooping it?
Just the tipping it.
No, that's not what we're talking about. We are, as always, and unfortunately presented by Kelderman Manufacturing. I hope that I hope that the brand association there is strong. But thank you to Kelderman Manufacturing, Kelderman.com. Anything Jeff Kelderman makes is going to have a Cyclone stamp approval on it. I mentioned this is sort of tipping it. Not just the tipping it, just tipping it.
Never liked the game anyways.
This is the one show that we're going to talk about basketball, at least the NBA, because we got a Cyclone in the finals. And at least this is from ChatGPT, so take it with a grain of salt as far as accuracy. He's looking to become the 8th player in the NBA Finals era. So back 1952 was the previous one to that. But Jordan and Scotty in the Olympics of 92, then turned around the following season, won the NBA title. Kobe in 2008 in Beijing won it, and then turned around and won it with the Lakers the next year. LeBron won in London, and then turned around and won it with the Heat the next year. Kevin Durant won in Rio, and then turned around and won it with the Warriors the following year. And then Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton were on the 2020 Olympic team, but that was played in 2021, and then they turned around and won the 21-22 NBA championship with the Bucks. So he's looking to become the ninth player in the NBA, the finals era since the NBA ABA merger to win an Olympic gold medal, and then the next season win the NBA championship, and that would be a really cool list to be a part of. So we are bringing Nate Schuster on to talk NBA because 9 people in history, again, at least according to ChatGPT's pulled sources. So this might be necessarily a little bit wrong, understanding that, but still, it's a very short list.
And I feel like too, you mentioned off a lot of those guys, and they're all just phenomenal Hall of Famers, except maybe Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. They're still very good. Without Tyrese, I can say this unequivocally, without Tyrese, this Pacers team would not be here. So he is very much a huge part of this team, and has a very real chance, if they do win it, to be the finals MVP, which would be very neat.
Very cool.
Yeah, so maybe a little shorter show today. I want to get right into it. The new segment I guess we're doing here, what Jeff missed this week in social media. We're gonna have this one sponsored by the Iowa Pork Producers. There it is. We mentioned in the interview with Nate that Tom Thibodeau got fired. That was one thing I think Jeff might have missed in social media. Another thing Jeff might have missed, you may have, I don't know if you did or not. Do you remember the show Sports Science?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, you died. So.
Oh, no. I love sports science. I mean, if you could talk sports, I am the target demographic for sports science.
I know you'd appreciate that.
Oh, man, John Brankus.
Yeah. So I don't know all the details of it, but it does say, obviously, he lost his battle with depression at the age of 53, so I don't want to jump into any kind of speculation. I will say, though, that June is, it's Pride Month 1, but it's also to Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So make sure you're checking on your friends. Reach out. Tell them you love them. Don't be afraid to get therapy. If you have things that are on your mind. I've been in therapy for a while. Yeah, I love therapy. So don't be afraid to talk about it. And emotions are good. That's something I'm learning as I'm getting older, Jeff.
Yeah, feel your feelings, and that's fine.
That's right.
That's too bad of it, John. I mean, I thought this was going to be a fun segment. That I missed some the HOTTOGO, like that the Chapel Roan thing that eventually I caught on because that song came out, but I didn't know what you meant with that when you said it, and I was back in the fall, and you and Aiden were just back and forth, and I was like, I felt like a clueless idiot. which happens every once in a while. And I thought that was going to be more, not like John Brankus, who was in the pantheon of like, this is back when like I would say ESPN's best after school programming. So like that 3 to 5 o'clock time frame is you get PTI, Around the Horn, Sports Science is like right before that, and then you get a Sports Center that had like Stu Scott or Dan Patrick, and that Dan Patrick might be like early 90s, late 2000s, or late 90s, early 2000s, but still like that from like 2:30 to 5 or 6 o'clock was just prime. Like that is as good as sports programming gets, is in that era, and that John Brankus was a big part of that.
I'd get a nice cold glass of milk and get a sleeve of Oreos and just go down and just smash the sleeve of Oreos while I just watch.
Watch Tony Kornheiser.
Yeah. Just watch him just bitch back and forth about PTI. Me yell at my screen as I've got just cookie crumb on my corner of my mouth.
You probably look like a dingus. That's what I bet.
Yeah, most likely. As in between that and then watching, D3 Mighty Ducks, which I watch every other day.
Well, anyway, don't want to be a dingus. Book with Aer Lingus, the Aer Lingus College Football Classic in Ireland. So next time you're going to see the Cyclones tee it up, you're going to see a Cyclone tip it off on Thursday. And
we're about 90 days away from the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. About 3 months.
That's fun. It's gonna be here before you know it, because it is week 0. Like, it's June. Normally camp starts in July. Or excuse me, camp starts in August. It's like the first weekend in August is when you report. So like somewhere between the 6th and like the I don't know, 4th and the 7th, whatever. It's like somewhere in that ballpark is when you'd report. But this year, like camp actually starts in July. So for Iowa State and Kansas State, they're going to be starting to play football, like reporting for fall camp in the middle of summer in July. It is June. Next month, there will be actual camp football. But until then, we're going to talk basketball because...
Hold on. I got one more thing for you. So one more thing that Jeff missed in social media. This was last week, but you probably still missed it. So the Big 12 and the WWE are expanding their partnership this fall. WWE will hold several episodes of Friday Night SmackDown in Big 12 markets.
See this.
Shoot!
I did see this.
So that includes Week 0 in Ireland before the before the Kansas State Iowa State, and then in Orlando before UCF UNC. So Jeff did not miss that.
I did not miss that one. Okay. I have a Google feed, so like on Chrome, just before you open up a tab, it just has like some news headlines. So I have some connection to the outside world. It's just not super tight. I love this. I love this so much. You're not
completely Amish then.
Not completely Amish. More Mennonite than Amish. But like big. I love this idea. Like
this is pretty sick.
This is fun. Like, because what's the point? I mean, if it is not, I think we have accepted the fact that it is college sports is a business. We've accepted that fact. Like the amateurism, and as much as people want to bitch about it, as much as people want to complain that like it's these kids are getting an education, why don't they like, accept that? It's like all that are fair and reasonable arguments. But I think at this point the cat's out of the bag. Like toothpaste is out too. You cannot put it back in the way. So it's sports business. Okay, if we accept the premise that sports is a business, let's make this shit some fun. Like put WWE right there. Friday night, you're going to get a game Saturday. You're going to come to the local destination, bring some tourism dollars to whatever, Ames or Des Moines, or if they were to at some point come to Iowa. Like, cool, man. Like, make this fun. Make the entertainment product entertaining. Like, that's why the marching band exists. Because we've accepted the fact that the game day environment should be fun. Like, games without a marching band suck. Like, it is, NBA or the NFL, like the NFL in-stadium experiences, like in places like Minnesota, sports. It's really good, but it's professional sports. Like it's fun. You got to find like some gimmicks and whatever. Versus at college, you get a band there. It's the best. Well, this stuff like this is just like an extension of that idea that like, let's make this fun. And I love the fact that I'm a big fan of this.
I would say if you're going to Ireland, go to the WWE event, because like you're there. What's another $200 or whatever the tickets are? Like, I think I don't know if I'm going yet. I haven't bought a ticket yet. I may not. Probably lean towards no. But now I'm thinking like it's gonna be a once in a lifetime thing. Iowa State's probably never gonna play in Ireland again. I would say go to it, man. Just make a whole fun trip out of it. My 2 cents.
I for reasons that I can't quite talk about publicly too much, I would hope that I can't go. Because hopefully I have another responsibility at that time.
We already know that your wife's pregnant.
That's October. That's later. Different.
Oh, wow. Wow, what a cliffhanger. Okay.
We'll get to that. Hopefully this might be end of summer that I'll find out. Anyway. I
know what you're going. Okay, sweet. Let's get into Nate.
Yeah. But let's get to Nate Schuster. We're talking our one NBA episode of the year. Hopefully we do more of these, because that means Tyrese Haliburton's doing well. All right. And now in honor of the only Kickin' It NBA episode that will probably ever come out, well, maybe, depending on how Tyrese Haliburton's future career goes, we're welcoming in our resident NBA and basketball expert, Nate Schuster. The NBA is kind of fun for the last couple of weeks, eh?
Yeah, just a little bit. Especially if I had to say, this has been the most fun I've watched the playoffs in a few years now. And game one of the Knicks-Pacers Eastern Conference Finals, I would say, is the game of the decade. With how high scoring it was, how it ended, the overtime, reviews. Yes, and we get the nice little nostalgia.
The Reggie Miller choke.
Is there anything better than watching Spike Lee squirm?
Well, he wasn't at that game. He was at that. His first game was in Game 3. Because I remember. I think he was supporting. Apparently, there was a film that he and Samuel L. Jackson did that was premiering at Cannes Film Festival in France. And he said apparently that Samuel L. told him to go, and you don't tell Samuel L. Jackson no, which is fair. So for those that aren't sure or aren't aware, the Pacers just beat the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. And who's on the Pacers again?
Pascal Siakam,
and that's why we're talking about the Pacers today.
Who he won the Eastern Conference MVP. Tyrese got robbed.
Spicy P.
I think it feels like
Spicy P is the worst, man.
That's such a terrible nickname.
Well, there's other terrible nicknames.
Oh, you're referring to a nickname.
Spicy. I didn't pick up on it. That's good.
It's probably good you didn't.
Okay, so as my fandom in basketball, it starts middle of the division series in the NBA, just because we were talking about this before we record. It is impossible for me to care for the entire season. It's similar to baseball in that 162 baseball games is a lot of games to actually try really, really hard. So you kind of have to meter it a little bit. Baseball, you can get away with it because there's so much standing around. Where basketball, if you're at 80% of your effort, the product is substantially different. Versus in baseball, you can be locked in for 3 seconds, hit a ball, run to first, and then be done, and you can stand there for another 20 seconds. Versus basketball, it's like regular season basketball is so hard to watch because the guys are really good at shooting threes. The opponents know they're really good at shooting threes, so they kind of just let them shoot threes, and then the games are 147 to 136, and teams shoot 31 of 65 from three, and I can't care. But once you start getting to the playoffs and the division series, guys actually start playing defense. And when guys actually start playing defense, and that means the opposing offenses actually have to run action against that good defense now. And then those two things start becoming oh shit, these guys are really good at basketball. So the Pacers advancing through to the finals, through this, has been really fun to watch because it's teams that are preparing against your best, and then you're still being able to beat your best. So now like I said, we kind of recapped at least my version of fandom, which is probably similar to a lot of other Iowa basketball fans, the state of Iowa basketball fans. But now, can you give a little, as someone who knows the NBA, a little context for what the Pacers' offensive style is and why Haliburton fits it so well?
So, just knowing him and how he looks at the game.
You know him?
Just barely.
Hey, y'all were on the same team.
But he grew up watching Magic. His dad had him watching Magic Johnson highlights. So if I had to compare him to something in the way that the Pacers play, it's a lot like the Showtime Lakers in a sense, because it's just constant transition. Our goal is to get the ball. We're going to rebound. We're going to get the ball as quickly as possible to the other end of the court because it's a race more than it is trying to beat you in the half court style. I also would compare them to the Steve Nash Suns. I think he kind of fits both of those kind of molds because those teams truly played as teams. Like there wasn't necessarily one guy who's like, yeah, that's the A guy, that's the B guy. I think Tyrese is the A guy. I think he did get snubbed for the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I think it's just another reinforcement that potentially the writers don't necessarily know what they're talking about when it comes to these awards, and that actually does determine these guys' contracts. So if I think it should be the coaches and executives and the players, but that's for another discussion. I think if I like to call this team the Go Time Pacers, whether or not that's lame or not, but the Showtime Lakers, Go Time Pacers, they play fast as hell and they don't care about it. And they will get the ball, hit ahead, and they're really unselfish.
He plays basketball in a way where it's almost like how Aaron Rodgers used to play quarterback, where we're trying to score as much as possible and give the ball away as little as possible. Like his assist to turnover ratio, I think, was it game 1 or game 2 when he had 35, 10, and 15 and 0 assists or 0 turnovers?
I think it was game 4 when they went up 3-1.
Yeah, it was game 4 because John Haliburton came back.
Yeah. You can't get closer to perfect.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally no one in NBA history has ever done that before. No.
Yeah, with 5 made threes.
35, 15, 10, and 0. No one in NBA history has done that or more ever. I watched it. So I'm single parenting this week in that my wife is in New York for work. And so really like normally during nap time, I can like, she can clean up the kitchen or something like that, or I can clean up the kitchen, she can do some work or vice versa. You have some help. Versus this time, it's more or less every time she goes down for a nap, it's just straight up rest. So I watched for whatever reason, I just sat down and just watched on YouTube. I think it's called Thinking Basketball was the YouTube channel, and it was breaking down the Pacers offense. And what was really interesting about it is you're just talking about that, like the speed of it. And I think the fun part about it, and you know Tyrese obviously better than really anyone here, and better than, I don't know, most in the world, considering you played with him on the same team.
It's weird to think about.
It's not just fast for the sake of being fast, and not just fast break up and up the court. It's that every action in their half court set is an action followed by an action followed by an action followed by an action followed by an action. And there's like, I think he said at one point, if you just watch one like normal average possession that ends with like an elbow jumper or something like that, there's 9 actions and 5 passes that have happened, and there's 2 flare screens and everything that goes. And it feels like in order to be good in that offense, you have to be comfortable within chaos and like calm all the time. Do you think like one, I don't know if there's any thoughts that you have as far as that, any more details on what they try and do offensively, but 2, like Tyrese as a person seems like he's a pretty chill dude, which seems like that is a necessary component of being in this like super fast chaos offense that you got to be okay with some weird stuff that happens in order to get this speed to work.
Yeah, I think he's laid back. I think the other thing is he processes information very quickly. To play with this Pacers team, you have to be 1, in incredible shape. 2, you have to be able to basically do everything with the basketball. Like I think Miles Turner doesn't get enough credit for how well he shoots the 3 and how well he puts the ball on the floor. Game 1, I think he started 5 for 5 from the field, and it was on all different types of stuff. And that was the Eastern Conference Finals. But he's
for those not who haven't followed, Miles Turner's their center.
Yes,
who shoots 40% from 3.
Went to Texas, played against I think the last few Fred teams, if I'm not mistaken. But he's been in the league for 10 plus years. But he's kind of a jack of all trades center, does everything kind of good, nothing really great. Big Lego fan, which I think is kind of random, but kind of fun. A lot of centers in the NBA doing that, Wemby too. But when I look at this Pacers team, anyone and everyone could score at any point, and you have the perfect point guard that can feed anyone at any given point. When it comes to their half court sets, when they're doing 9 or 10 different actions in a 24-second span, I think it's because Carlisle's a really good coach, and I think he's proven that across 20 plus years head coaching in the NBA. He's already won a title with the Mavericks.
Yeah, he was the coach for the Dirk Mavs team that beat the Dream Team trio Heat when Ron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh were down in Miami.
And I believe that is either the 2nd or the 4th biggest finals upset ever. which plays a part with how the odds are stacking up in this series right now. Like, that's a nice coach to have when you're, I think they were minus 180 or 165. I forgot which one they were, but that's pretty far back. But I think the Pacers are looking a lot more than this. I like Carlisle a lot. I think they play fantastic, but I think he's preaching to get to spots. And once you get to spots and the action goes, and whatever Tyrese does, the team kind of has to play off of that. I think everything really starts with the ball screen and cuts based off of what the defense is giving them. So if they're getting certain looks, they've been drilled across 82 games and 8 months of the season to do things a certain way and play a certain way. But they've been doing it all year versus some of these teams are trying to flip a switch in the playoffs. Like, yeah, we'll coast and get into the playoffs and it'll be easy. But I think the Pacers kind of hit everybody in the mouth a little bit. Like, we've been doing this already since November, since October. We've been playing the same way. I think the Thunder and the Pacers now have the best record since February 1st across the NBA. And each team's only lost 4 games this playoffs. So they wouldn't have even lost the series if it was, well, I guess they would have technically, but if you combined all 12 games that they've had to win, they've only lost 4.
So there, and I was watching another thing. This is Carmelo Anthony talking about this, and it was just the same. And it was a video that followed that other one on the YouTube feed while my daughter was taking a nap. And one of the things that his response to it was the Pacers win if blank, or the Thunder win if blank. And so his answer to the Thunder or the Pacers win if blank was that if Tyrese Haliburton gets in the paint on every single drive. Now let's put your Thunder hat on. Because of knowing that that's got to be a thing. Well, if it's as obvious enough as for Carmelo Anthony, who's a sharp guy, played in the NBA for a bazillion years, if he's saying that, then the Thunder coaching staff is going to do that. So I got a backup question, and then the question that I actually intending to ask. So to me, the Thunder are the closest to TJ Otzelberger team that the NBA has put out probably in ever since, like, in the modern era, since like the Pistons that are going to, the bad boy Pistons, because the way the Thunder play are stupid aggressive on defense. They're going to try and turn you over on every single possession. They don't really care if they get a hand check foul. They're going to go for the ball. You better not dribble in the wrong spot because it's going to get stolen. Well, if Tyrese is going to have to try and dribble, penetrate, and pass out of that. So one, a little more info on the Thunder, just to kind of make sure that to set the scene for when the final start on Thursday, what these very casual basketball fans are going to be watching. So what are the Thunder and what do they do? And two, if Tyrese needs to get into the paint, knowing the Thunder are going to deny that, like what is that chess match going to be in order for the Pacers to succeed in getting downhill when how aggressive that Thunder defense is?
Yeah, so I'll start with the second question, then I'll break down the Thunder. I think what Carlisle will do, and the Pacers have a great opportunity with this, is Andrew Nembhard played point guard. They're starting 2 guard. He was one of the point guards at Gonzaga. Pascal Siakam is more than comfortable dribbling the ball. And same with Aaron Nesmith. So I think in some way you may have to bring the ball the court without Tyrese off of a made basket. Because you're probably not getting into transition as easily off of a make rather than a miss, because you have to take the ball out. So I think maybe you bring up the ball with one of those guys and you start the action with a dribble handoff to Tyrese, and then you can set a screen from someone, and so you can almost create 2 interchanges where the defense has to communicate. And once you get the defense moving, then Tyrese gets to do it.
I'm going to call it. I'm going to time out this because this is me now. I'm just really curious. So we're bringing the ball up with somebody other than the point guard. And you're saying dribble handoff, and then you're getting a screen. Why? Like, what does that do? Because football example, we're trying to get, like the 49ers, the Brock Purdy 49ers, they're going to trade and they're going to motion, because what we're trying to do on offense in football is we're trying to get your eyes in the wrong spot. I want your communication to be wrong. I want now 2 of you guys to be thinking about covering the same person. I want your leverage to now be off because I moved 6 guys before we started. Is that what you're trying to do in basketball with these little dribble handoffs, these back screens? Like, what is the goal of that?
The dribble handoff functions like a mesh route, I would say. So when you have the 2, you got, your X receivers cross in the middle and you get your slot guy crossing, your goal is to get that rub action like you see in football, like that 1-yard rub where it might be offensive pass interference, it might not be. That's kind of what you're looking for in the dribble handoff because it's somewhat of a moving screen. Now, most teams are just an automatic switch. But because you're also setting the ball screen, it might change what you're doing, because the way the NBA works, in my opinion, is the guy who is setting the screen is the guy who the defense is targeting. So in that case, you're probably going after a guy like Hartenstein with a pick and roll combo of Turner and Haliburton.
So Hartenstein is their big,
that is their
slow-footed center.
But compared to what they were just going against, I would say that no one on this Thunder team is slow-footed. They're all very, very fast and very good on their feet and very intelligent. And that's common with a team as good defensively as they are. Caruso's won a championship before. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's played with Chris Paul, so there's good mentorship there. There's good experience there. And Hartenstein was actually on the Knicks and was their big free agent signing for the Thunder this year. So, and I think they traded Caruso from Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, for Josh Giddey and a pick, I think, which looks great for Chicago, or not Chicago, OKC. But if I had to describe the Thunder, everything's going to flow through the point guards in this series. It's going to be Tyrese. It's going to be Shai. The difference between Tyrese and Shai is Shai's looking for a basket. Tyrese is looking to score points. Doesn't matter if it comes off through the net off of his hands or if it's coming through someone else. So I don't think he cares as much. I don't think Shai cares necessarily, but I think he's just a naturally better scorer. Defense is going to be a pestering issue. They're going to blitz you on every chance. So there's going to be a double.
The Thunder?
The Thunder are going to blitz every if you're dribbling out on top, they will just randomly send doubles between Case and Wallace, Alex Caruso, and Lou Dort. Those are that's the equivalent of your what was it, Legion of Boom Seahawks, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. I think that's probably the closest thing we have to that in basketball is those three, because they're on the court to play defense. They're not the guy that's going to dribble 15 times in ISO and James Harden step back. We're here to pass, cut, play the right way, and steal the ball and dunk on you. That's how I would describe this year's Thunder team. I think they're fantastic. I think both teams deserve to be here. The Thunder have only lost one game all year to the Eastern Conference. But I think this Pacers team, with how hot they've been since February 1, this should be interesting. I think the odds are a little off here.
So a lot of people I've seen on social media are saying this is going to be a really boring series because it's not, it's not the Lakers, the Knicks. It's not big market teams. You don't have the superstars, the LeBrons, the even Anthony Edwards, if you will, the Jason Tatum. You don't have anybody like that. But I think what's really interesting is that the Thunder are the youngest team in the NBA. The Pacers, they're not the youngest team, but like Tyrese is, 25, 6? He's still young. So they've got a young foundation. You see this in sports, and you saw with Iowa State in 2017 where they switched their football, their defense before Texas, to what they're in now. These two teams we've mentioned are some of the faster-paced teams in the NBA, but they also, especially the Thunder, get after you on defense, and the NBA is known for not playing defense. Do you think that these two teams, kind of a two-part question, these two teams, if they continue to play the way that they do, because they kind of play similar-ish style ball, and they're not that they're not like anybody else in the league, but they're too similar, so you see the two slimmer teams are now in the championship game. Do you think these two teams will have a chance to meet again next year in the finals? And also, do you think that the NBA will take notice of their styles and be like, maybe we need to be a little more run and gun. Maybe we do need to play some more defense. Maybe we do need to switch things up from what we're doing because it's working for these guys. Maybe this is the new wave of how the NBA is going to work.
I think for the people that say it's boring, they weren't watching. I know. I 100%. I 100%.
I think it's gonna be a great series.
I do too.
I'm super excited for it. Even if Tyrese wasn't playing this, it's fun team basketball. That's what you're here to watch.
Yeah.
Yes, and the other piece about it, and the NBA is, as we know, it's been super team driven for the last how long? 2008. So 17 years, we can say. We're looking right now down the barrel of having 7 different champions in 7 years. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. And these two teams are both organically grown. It's not, hey, we signed Kevin Durant, James Harden, and we traded for Kyrie Irving. The Pacers' big move last year was trading for Pascal Siakam mid-year. There really wasn't a free agent signing this year. It was that was it. The Thunder's big move was Hartenstein, who no one was really like, yeah, that's like a top 10, 15 center in the NBA, maybe. That's not a big deal. But they're both built organically. They both play really heartfelt basketball. Like, these guys want to win for each other more than it's win so that I get all the glory. So I can appreciate that out of both of these guys. What was the second part to your question, Grant?
Do you think the NBA will adopt
yes.
And like this, we're
you
starting
can
to
already
see
see
this shift. Yeah.
You can already see it. So if anyone's been, this is me being a Bucks fan, but if anyone's the biggest story outside of the finals right now is where is Giannis going to play next year? Because in all likelihood, now I think he's staying. That's me being biased, but the right move is to move off of him. He's 30 years old. He's probably never going to have a higher value than he has right now, and it's going to be an insane value. But his meeting with the Bucks front office, and he's been eliminated by this Pacers team now 2 years in a row. Whether or not he's been healthy in each of these 2 years is a different thing, or the rest of his team, but that's besides the point. He wants the team to play more like the Pacers. We want to get after it on offense. We want to do. Stan Van Gundy talked about it great in the broadcast on one of the games where they talk about the hit-ahead pass, where we're moving. The ball is always going to travel faster than dribbling the ball up the court. So I think dribbling the ball up the court is overrated. I think a hit-ahead pass is much more effective because it forces the defense to have to scramble. And when you scramble, you take one bad step. Guys like Tyrese see that. They see everything. So you make one bad step, there's blood in the water, and they're like sharks. So I think we will see an evolution towards this because of how well they shoot the three. And I don't think we'll see a lot more of the teams that play the style of the Thibodeau, speaking of which he gets fired today. But I don't think the slow Thibodeau style is the way of the NBA anymore. I think it's going to be a fast-paced up and down, get as many young guys, and especially with the way the salary cap is, you got to be able to draft well. And both these teams have done really well.
That was going to be one of my I've got a segment in the show recently that's what did Jeff miss in social media, and that was going to be my one today about Tom Thibodeau getting fired. And I've just got a couple stats while we're talking about it. So Thibodeau, Tom Thibodeau was relieved today. He led the Knicks to their first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years, made it to the playoffs in 4 of 5 years, and led the Knicks to consecutive 50-plus win seasons for the first time since the 1990s. And he gets canned. Cold world.
It feels like that is similar to, I mean, this is as much of basketball as I can know. Like when Budenholzer got fired by the Bucks.
Who?
Mike Budenholzer. They haven't been as good since, but I feel like it's one of those things that the personalities just don't match. Like, I imagine that's the way it works. Like, playing for Tibbs seems like it sucks. Like, it seems like he's not a pleasant coach to have. And so if you're trying to attract free agents, if you're trying to keep guys on the roster, if you're trying to, keep longevity of these players, I don't really want to play for that guy. And so I wonder if they're trying to do that. But it's the flying too close to the sun. Are you Icarus, where you're trying to, okay, well, you want to get close to the sun where your wings are going to melt because you fired the one guy that actually got you there.
Great song.
I don't know.
There's
Icarus?
Great song, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Cool.
There's some precedent with the Tibbs situation working out. Dwayne Casey got fired from the Raptors. Next year, they hire Nick Nurse, Iowa guy, win the championship. 2014, Warriors fire Mark Jackson. Next year, they win the championship in 2015. I think there's possibility out there. I think the news today is more reflective of they've lost to a lower seed most of those years, and they've been somewhat underwhelming, and they haven't gotten to the finish line. So maybe it's new blood, but yeah, I think in the Budenholzer case, the Bucks haven't been back since.
I don't have a question here for you, but I thought it was interesting that they were talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder's coach, who he was their G League, the OKC Blue. He was their head coach, and then got promoted, and they didn't really do anything the first couple of years he was the coach. But they're also super young. And I've got a buddy who's on their coaching staff. He was the OKC Blues head coach when their head coach got promoted. And I remember talking to him, being like, hey, do you ever have any kind of desire to be an NBA head coach someday? He's like, not really. He goes, I really love what I'm doing, because the Thunder's whole like G League approach. Maybe it's the same way for other G League teams, but their whole G League approach is we don't care if we win or lose games. We just want you to develop guys. And that's what the Thunder's GM, I remember him saying that. I heard him say that about the head coaches. We saw, like, we didn't care that he wasn't very good, quote unquote, very good. They weren't winning many games the first couple of years, but we saw the guys were getting better and we want to stick with him. So I think the culture that the Thunder have built is really unique and really cool, and something that I feel like as a player would be very attractive to want to play in. I don't have a question for it, but I thought it was pretty interesting that it seems like a little different approach, because it is such a dog eat dog world out there where, yeah, you don't beat the Pacers, you lose, boop, you're gone. So it is interesting that they stuck with this guy, and here they are, the NBA Finals odds-on favorite to win.
I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because he's probably one of the longest tenured GMs in the sport outside of Pat Riley and technically Popovich until recently. I think he was the GM when they were still the Sonics. So he's been with them for 17 so years, and it shows. Like he's showed ownership that he's got a plan. I wouldn't say Oklahoma City is the number one free agent destination for how some of these guys are with their extracurricular activities, but the fact that he has put his franchise in a position where they are the 1 seed the last 2 years, and I think they have still 11 first round picks over the next 5 or so drafts.
And they're the youngest team right now.
And they're already the youngest team. And you already have the MVP on your team. How much better can you really get? So when people talk about, oh, this team's going to be a dynasty too early, and we've seen that every year for the last 6 years, like, oh, the Nuggets are going to be a dynasty, oh, the Raptors or the Bucks are going to be a dynasty, and they fizzle out. This team might actually be a dynasty. They're as good as those 90s Cowboys were, and they still have all the picks to benefit off of. What?
It's fun when just as again a casual fan to pop in and just watch these guys. And one of the guys and I mentioned that the Thunder, and also Grant, question for you: who are you rooting for then? Because you got Tyrese on one side, and you got Gibbs on the other side. Yeah,
I'm rooting for the Pacers. Gibbs has ghosted me in my last 3 texts. So
what a turd!
Damn. Yeah, and he didn't come to my wedding. So I say he's one of my good friends from high school, and he is, but he's big time to me. He's gotten too big for his britches. So I very much want the Pacers to win. No, not very much. I hope it goes to 7, but I hope the Pacers win. But Gibbs can win next year.
Okay, but
yeah, they're they're good.
Back to the question that I was going to ask. So the Iowa State kind of traps, force turnovers, be a mofo on defense, that thought process exists in the Thunder. And the guy that kind of is the Gabe Kalsher of that defense, the one who is the point person where you go, hey, Gabe, that guy, he's yours all day.
Steven
that
Adams.
Kind of. No, although Steven Adams, I feel like if you walked into Steven Adams, he could pick you up by your head, and just pick you up off the ground, like palming a basketball, just palm your skull. Just Steven Adams from
he was the Aquaman stunt guy for the movies Aquaman.
Just a bit taller.
Same shoulders though.
Anyway, but the guy that is their Gabe Kalsher, their eliminator is Lou Dort, and
the torture chamber, baby.
Dude, it is wild to watch him play. So football equivalent. When you watch Pat Surtain of the Broncos is sort of the modern day version of this. I grew up Broncos fan, so Champ Bailey was kind of that guy, the Darrelle Revis. The lockdown corner is when you watch a lockdown corner, it's uncomfortable for me to just look at it, because as an offensive guy, I'm looking at it being you can't do anything. You can't go where you want to go. You can't get to you can't get to your spot. You can't get to your timing. You start getting frustrated. All that happens. When you're as a basketball guy watching Lou Dort, is it as uncomfortable and pretty at the same time? You know what I'm kind of saying? To watch Lou Dort play defense?
I wouldn't say it's pretty, but he's got this in it. He knows where you're going before you know where you're going a little bit. And that's kind of the scary thing. Plus, he's just built like a freaking...
He's a running back. He's a 6'9" wingspan. He's a running back. I mean, he's 6'3", built like a tank.
Yeah, it's unreal. Lindell Wigginton was friends with him when we were in college. So I heard a little bit about... He was an Arizona State guy.
Okay.
But both Canadians, so I guess that's how they knew each other. But
hey?
The guy, Yeah, go Oilers, eh? But he's unique, and you pair him with a Cason Wallace and an Alex Caruso and a center that actually knows what he's doing when he's calling out screens, and then you have Chet Holmgren as your shot blocking power forward. Who's scoring on that? Like that, like it's like you could put like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Curry, Tim Duncan.
They'd probably score. Yeah,
they'd probably score, but like
they'd probably score quite a bit. Yeah,
it'd be pretty good.
It'd be hard.
It'd be good to watch. It'd be fun to watch.
Did you mention Machine Gun Mahoney? I blacked out for a second. I didn't hear that in there.
Yes.
Yeah. He gonna launch.
It's the two guard.
Launch. One thing I want to say about Dort, and I got one more question for you. But this is not the question. Just another observation. Lucas Dort, when he came to the Blue, he was kind of a project. I remember Gibbs was like, I can't remember if he was really good at defense, not good at offense, or really good at offense, not good at defense. But one or the other. I remember Gibbs telling me that like this guy is like they put it on me to like. You just burped right there.
I just hit mute and then burped.
Oh, I heard it. It did not mute.
Great.
We got to keep that in there. We got to keep that in there. That was so good.
God. Jeez Louise, man.
Like, you could sell it to like a stock sound company. Like that was like the perfect like burp button.
Yeah, it sure was. But yeah, what I was just gonna say was that Lucas Dort was like the project for Gibbs. My last question for you, Nate, and I appreciate you coming on. Give me your prediction for the series and who you want to win. So it can be one and the same, or it can be.
Okay, so I want up front. I want the Pacers to win. I think it'd be more fun. I think it validates the fact that the Bucks have lost to them twice, and I'm not. There's no rooting interest for Tyrese Haliburton whatsoever, biased at all out of me. Just on the record, Your Honor. But I do think the Thunder probably get the series. I think it'll be competitive. I think it's going to be really quick. If the Pacers want to win, they're going to have to steal Game 2 and Game 5, and then
which are on the road.
Those are at Oklahoma City.
Those will be at Oklahoma City. Then you got to clean up at home. You actually have one you could drop at home at worst case.
Because it'll go 2-2-1-1-1.
2-2-1-1-1. It's no longer 2-3-2, which
I love. It's one of those things that you don't realize is stupid until someone changes it, and you go, "Oh my god, why did we do that?" Because if it's 2-3-2, because baseball used to do that too. Where like you go 2 games at home, 3 games on the road, 2 games at home. Well, if you drop 1 at home, you lose. If you lose home field entirely, it's done. Like now you got to win on the road. It's terrible. Anyway,
yeah, absolutely wild that they did that. Adam Silver, thank you. But I do think it's probably Thunder in 6, potentially 5. That defense is crazy.
I will also. My last question is I'll ask the same question to you that was asked to Carmelo Anthony. Just so it's one question is. If the Thunder win, blank happens, and the second one is if the Pacers win, blank happens.
Score more points.
Okay, other than that, like one level, at least one level below that.
Gotcha.
They allow fewer points. Okay, one level below that.
I think if the Thunder win, it's because they force Tyrese into turnovers, live ball turnovers. I think if the Pacers win, it's because Haliburton and Siakam are putting up 25 a night each. Probably 30.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't have a. What did Tyrese? He put up like a 6-point game in one of the games.
I think it was game 5. Game 5.
Yeah, can't have one of those.
6. Yeah, not good. Not good. Don't do that.
No. Well, we appreciate it, Nate. Thank you for joining here. Aiden's got his hands full with this one. We appreciate how.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're good.
Thank you for having me. As always, it's always fun.
As always, the knowledge that you provide is always welcomed, and I know the listeners love it, so we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you.
And this concludes our once a year NBA episode. You know what's amazing, like with Schuster, is I feel like I have this kind of sometimes with college sports and the NFL, some and like MLB stuff, but like who was fired by the Raptors prior to Nick Nurse being hired, and then the years in which that happened, and then like connecting that many dots, that's a lot of information to keep up in your brain. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that level of dorkiness of fandom.
I mean, you even pulled out Boobin Dudes and where the guy's name was. I had no idea who you're talking about.
Boobin and Boobendoozer.
No, what you're talking about?
You're looking for the name of a new pet. It's called Boobendoozer.
Boobendoozer. I thought Jason Kidd isn't he their coach? I don't know.
Ooh, the Raptors?
No, the Bucks.
I don't know.
Isn't that who you said Boobendoozer got fired by?
No. he got fired by the Bucks, and then I think maybe.
Yeah. Then Jason Kidd took over.
No, was it? Did he? I thought it was Doc Rivers was the coach of the Bucks.
Oh boy. Oh, Jason Kidd's on the Mavs. I don't know. That's why we needed Nate for this. Nate would have known. That's all I've got. How about you, Jeff?
That's it.
Hey, we appreciate everyone sticking around for this wild and wacky episode. Thank you to all of our loyal listeners who are still listening. And as always, remember, adopt, don't shop.